What black market did kids at your school run? A kid in my school used to sell stupid amounts of on tapes for $10. We found out later that his dad had paid for some on channels and I guess he never noticed his son had them open in his room. He would buy empty tapes and just hit record until the tapes were full. I know I bought at least 10 of them. This was in the 90s. That guy was making a rid ton of money. He would bring a backpack full of tapes almost every day and leave school with it empty. Easily he was making $200 a day when he emptied his bag. I went to a private high school with a strict dress code, ties, belt, etc. So I bought a bunch of ties and belts from a thrift store and ran a lucrative rental business out of my locker. Rent a swag. I used to sell Coke, the drink, because they didn't allow fizzy drinks to be brought in. Pablo Frescobar. I was in elementary school when pogs were big. Everyone had cool slammers and stuff but I didn't have money for good ones. My dad made one out of a half-inch mild steel for me and used an engraving pen to make a simple pattern. Everyone was asking me where I got them from. I didn't wanna lose my unfair edge but I also knew I could make money. My dad had a big sheet of this half-inch steel. I told them I was the only one who could get them. I sold them for $15 a pop. My dad kept 10, I got 5. And that's when I learned what overhead was. Used to crush up warheads and mix them with sugar. Sold them by the straw with the ends melted 50 cents a piece. I have family in New York and would go visit a couple times a year back in high school. Every once in a while we'd visit Chinatown in New York City and I'd end up buying hundreds of dollars worth of fake watches, Rolex, Tag, Gucci, etc. Return to school and sell them for double than what I paid for them. A lot of people still do this. They fly off to China, buy cheap knockoffs and sell them for a huge markup wherever they're from. It's big business here in the Philippines. I don't know if this counts, but me and my brother would take money to beat all the challenges in GoldenEye 0074 and 64, so people got all the cheats. The invincibility challenge was the toughest. At my school I ate all sweets out of the vending machines and replaced them with healthy snacks. In the local town there was a sweet shop where you could buy a kilo of mixed sweets for £5. So every week I would go there and buy 1 pound of small paper bags and spend the Sunday night before school repackaging them all ready for the week ahead. Come Monday I would go into school and load my bag up every day selling the bags for 50p. Cuban sandwiches straight out a duffel bag before school. They were bomb, cheap and way better than the lunch in the cafeteria. Apple laptops in middle school, some had iTunes, some didn't, and the kids wanted it so I apparently was the only one who knew how to transfer the installer with my USB. I put it on everyone's laptop for gifts, favors, etc. in return. Got caught by the sub that day. I told her it was my flash drive, I could do what I wanted with it. And that's how I got my second detention of my life. Edit. Gifts were typical middle schooler it. Yu-Gi-Oh cards, fruit snacks, best food trades during lunch, gain in popularity and hang out with the cool people. Obviously they were taking advantage of me but I didn't mind. The only guy in the school whose family had proper TV channels used to tape wrestling events and rent them out. That late 90s ECW was hard to get a hold of. My buddies and I would pool money to watch the PPV events at my house and always recorded them on VHS. Unfortunately my mother saw an especially bloody ECW match so we could only order WWE events. Luckily I was always nice to the two Ike kids and they had all of the ECW. They would always loan me tapes to copy over the weekend and on Monday we would be so excited to talk about them. My school used the metallic ends of pencils as a currency. Bronze was rarest, so it was the most expensive. Green was most common, so it was the least. We traded for erasers or pencil cases or a spot up in the 4 square line. Eventually got banned but we still operated with people acting as banks to keep the currency hidden and to keep transactions hidden. It's actually pretty impressive to trade and maintain value of a fiat currency like that. Yeah, and the emergence of banks is super impressive. I wonder where the bank managers are these days. Silly bands. I remember a kid made like $50 one day. wanting to get in on this craze. I remember saving up for a month and going to the dollar store and buying a couple dozen packs of these damn things. Only when I got home, I realized these packs were the ones that always contained exactly the same ones in every pack, and nobody thought they were cool or wanted any of them. About a month later they went completely out of style. It kept me up at night for a while. These little game coupons that our teacher gave out for winning class quiz games. Right when people were starting to get scanners printers in their own homes, some kid made copies of his coupons and sold or traded them to other students. Edit. Since I have some people asking what the coupons could be traded for, it was usually a piece of candy or a pencil with a fun print or something similar. I think the kids ended up getting caught like 2 weeks into the scheme. Edit 2. A lot of people are comparing this to Diary of a Wimpy Kid, which I've heard of but never read before. I think kids are just clever and do this kind of thing on their own because a lot of people in the replies had similar things happen in their own schools as well. I don't know if this is where the kid got his idea or not, but this may have been before those books came out. And that's how you first learned about inflation. The swim team or something was selling these fundraiser lollipops and they were insanely popular. I found the website on the wrapper and discovered I could buy my own way cheaper. I could also buy only the popular flavors. So I had only the best flavors and I could undercut the actual fundraisers by a quarter, still making over 100% profit. I quickly became a top seller and made bank until the copycats started popping up. MP3s and CDRs were just becoming available. A guy I knew made a killing on mixed CDs. Every week he circulated forms to fill out, where you selected the songs you wanted on the CD. The newest hits were on the top, and changed weekly. The rest of his library filled the rest of the form, and there was a space for requests. He'd deliver your disc the following week. He seriously made bank for a couple years until everybody started getting their own songs from LimeWire or whatever. I don't know what he's doing now, 20 years later, but I don't doubt he's successful. Edit. Just as a bit of an aside, since a few responses have mentioned LimeWire, when this guy started doing it in HS, the only real avenues for music sharing were Usenet groups and Ike. When I was in the 6th grade, a teacher sold candy in between classes at marked up rates. A student decided to undercut her. That put an end to all candy sales. My high school had a film club that would shoot short films, thus needing some equipment. The teacher in charge of it would raise money for it by buying bulk boxes of candy bars and Pop-Tarts at Costco and sell them between classes for $1 each. He always had a line out the door of his classroom. Eventually he got shut down because the cafeteria manager complained that students buying snacks at school apparently kept them from buying the pig slop food the cafeteria served. Nintendo games. Some kid sold them off for like 10 or 15 bucks a pop. I don't know where he got them from, but he said he just told his dad what he wanted and his dad would get it for him. He'd ask for the same ones over and over and it didn't matter. He'd end up with 5 copies and he'd just sell 4 of them. Either the kid was the most spoiled brat in history, or his dad was straight up stealing them anyhow. Anyways, I could never get any. I had a Sega, but I remember that kid making a killing in grade 3. Updates and answers. It was NES. Yes. Please tell me how to download a car. 2 years ago I was a sophomore in high school, and freshmen weren't allowed to go off campus but everyone else was. So I'd take orders, go to the local fast food shops, and get the goods. I'd up the price by about $2 and ended up making about $200 a month. I had the principal's secretary's handwriting down and used to sell hall passes for $1 each. Made a killing. Edit. I don't really know how much I made, but it was in the realm of $5 a day. Sometimes I went dry because you needed the actual pass paper, but I finally figured out how to get into the supply closet, slide the student ID by the latch bolt. I only took a few pads at a time so they wouldn't get suspicious. Edit 2. I could also forge my mother's signature. Did it so well that when I brought in a note from her that she scribbled on the dash, they called her to confirm. In high school, this guy sold socks in the hallways. That's all for today's video. Hope you guys liked it. If you liked the video, subscribe. If you want to support the channel, The best thing you can do is simply watch the videos, but if you really want to see the channel thrive, subscribe, like, comment, add to favorites, add to playlist, and share with friends. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Reddit and Insta. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you with tomorrow's upload.